What's up, guys? This is AJ Leon from ajleon.me. We're on our Rise of the Cubicle Farmer road trip, and today we are somewhere outside of Boston. I don't know the exact area. And we're going to be talking with a little blogger. He's done a few small little things in the past couple of years. Chris Brogan, somebody I've been reading forever, and is kind of a staple of the social media world, and we just thank you for being with us, Chris.
I'm so excited I've moved up to being a staple.
Yeah,
it's like a paperclip. It's a lot more permanent and a lot more fixed.
Exactly. All right, so I thought it would be cool to check out like your previous posts in interviewing you and just asking you about that relating to entrepreneurs. Most of the people following this journey are entrepreneurs or aspiring entrepreneurs, so go from that basis. I focused in on December 12th, and I saw like some really interesting threads over the last 4 years that you've written on this day. So 4 years ago, December 12th, 2006, you wrote, "In this new media part of the economy, I believe community is the deciding factor for sustained success. Money is pouring into this space, and you and I aren't seeing much of it. But I think that the same money will wash out a lot of the competition, and the ones who work to build community will be the ones who stay." Do you feel like this is still true? And I'm sure you do. And B, for aspiring entrepreneurs, do you think that at this point it's community in front of product?
I'm so excited. That sounds so prescient now. I just write stuff, blah, blah, blah. And that sounds like I knew what I was talking about because it happened. In 2007, the great video rush was on, and I was a community manager at a video platform called Network 2 that Jeff Pulver had started. And we were going around the country meeting all the top video bloggers, and all these great new projects were happening. And Michael Eisner bought this video blog off these people, and there was all this money in the space. I was like, woo! And like everybody's back to like working at Best Buy or whatever.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like everybody got washed out who didn't have a good solid community base. And what's interesting is like one of the top video blogs at that time was Ask a Ninja, which is the simplest thing in the whole wide world. If you haven't seen it, go to askaninja.com. And by the way, like 3 years ago, if I'd asked you and you'd said you hadn't, it's because you had nothing to do with the internet.
Right.
Back then it was everywhere. But they're just relaunching because they kind of, they just like in comic books or something, you lose your way, you got to go back to basics. So they had a great community though, which is why they can afford to relaunch. Because they always had a heart, like Zay Frank, our friend in Brooklyn. These kinds of people can make a lot of turns, in the road. And entrepreneurs are always chasing the dollar. They're always chasing how can their idea be useful and or make a big company out of it. But if you're not chasing the community, then you lose a powerful pivot point.
So do you feel like, if I'm an aspiring entrepreneur, I'm starting, before I think about the product that I'm launching, should I think about the greater community around that project? Is that the first thing that should be a consideration in today's economy?
I think so, because with an entrepreneurial mindset, what you're trying to do is you're thinking, I just thought of something that'll solve a problem, and it's a problem usually that they've had. And the next question is, well, are you of that community? Can you communicate that and be part of them? If I solve a problem in the nursing bra community, I'm only going to go so far. You know what I mean? Well,
that's a good spot, though. Yeah.
It's good people to know. And I think that when I try, for example, I have something I want to do in 2011 that involves casual bicycling, and I am clearly not in the Lance Armstrong set, but I am in the set of people who ride a bike sometimes. And so I can be of that community. Right. So I think yes, you should work with the community first, and one of the reasons is that they'll love people and they'll love you and make a change in the road. In 2004 or so, if you look back on December, I was writing about food and fitness.
Yeah, you are.
And clearly I'm not in the food and fitness business anymore.
Right.
So but some of those people did come with me, and I still have people that used to follow me on the running blog forums who are still on the road with me. Like they don't even care what I write.
Really?
We're just friends.
Wow, that's nuts. Cool. December 12th, 2007. You talked about thinking about the landscape. You said, consider how your blog improves someone's day. In fact, here's some homework. Look at your blog as if it's a bookshelf. Now imagine the bookshelf is in Barnes & Nobles, and you've got music and video and other things to contend with. Be holistic in this. Think about your audience's time. How can you make your product so good that it becomes an appointment worth viewing? And that's what you've got to target. 3 years later, do you feel like that has been the main component of your success? The fact that every blog post you're putting out there is you're thinking about the audience's time?
I think so. And the only time I realize that the most is when I go and read someone else's blog and I get to 5,000 words or something and I just realize, oh, I'm going to die here.
Yeah.
There's very few people I like to read in long form. And it's so funny because the people who write long form are the first people who come back to me and be like, that's bull. Everybody likes long form. No, everybody likes what they like. You know, everybody likes what you seem to like. And Brian Solis is an incredible writer, and he rarely writes below 4,000 words.
Oh my God! No.
And you know, they're always
it's a science experiment. Brian's post,
he draws pictures, he has illustrations, he pulls in the gods. He says, you know, I believe Publius Cornelius Scipio also said, you know,
Marcus Aurelius.
And mine's more like, you know, you could stuff it in a fortune cookie. And the reason is because I just want to give you enough to go on, and then you can run and do the next piece. And I think that think about everything's changed like that. I mean, video has changed like that. You know, if you watched MTV when it launched and you watched just the flicker of it on the wall, you would see about 20 to 50 cuts in a video, meaning switches between scene elements.
Sure.
And now it's 400 to 700 cuts.
Wow.
So sometimes 2,000. So.
Did you talk to somebody at MTV about that?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
So our feeling is that, you know, as brevity starts to reign and rule, and as our attention span gets spilled, all I'm doing is trying to help people figure out how they can best grab some bite of that attention.
Yeah.
Now the good news is that you try to hope to get a bunch of those bites. It's like tapas, right?
Yeah.
But people who are hoping to lure you, think about how many things you've downloaded, the free PDFs you've downloaded that you say, I'm going to read this later, and it's going to change my business.
Yeah, sure.
You got a whole file full of them.
Absolutely. They're all in my iPad.
You do. You have that same thing.
Yeah.
But so I'm not doing that. All I'm going to do is give you bites, and you'll only get bites, and then you can make it into the Lego that you need to grow.
Do you feel like, I mean, in terms of moving away from blogging and just into products, if I'm starting my business, do you feel like that's the same type of thing? I mean, because you're talking about making whatever small thing that you're putting out there, message that you're putting out there, make it extraordinary, make it something worth the appointment. Is that what small businesses, entrepreneurs should think about?
Oh, sure. I mean, look at the rebirth of Kodak. Kodak was ubiquitous. I mean, the film was everywhere. If you didn't buy Kodak film, you were an idiot. And then they were like, oh, nobody uses film. Now what do we do? And so they put a camera out at the same time as Flip, which has one button. Flip says, push me, and it'll just work, okay?
Yeah.
That's a huge value prop, what now Cisco with the Flip has. So Kodak comes into that market and goes, yeah, but we have a couple cool ideas too. Yeah. And I, very early on with the ZX1, was like, it's got 80 more buttons.
Yeah.
And yet, with the ZI8, they had the external mic, and it suddenly just changed the world, and everybody needed a ZI8.
Which we're filming this on, by the way.
Yes, ZI8.
thank you, Kodak sponsor.
Yes. But look at that product. That one product was a wedge in the door that gets people's minds back on how they can use it better. Yeah. They come into the PlaySport. They decide that if someone wants to film waterproof. I don't know why that suddenly became so hot, but it's like we all rushed up to the city pool and decided.
I know, just 15 feet underwater.
Yeah. Only 15. Let's not go crazy. So no, I think that with product, yes, you should focus on a small bite. Apple did it. Apple started, they had the iPod before they had the iTunes Store. And then they linked the iTunes Store, and then they came up with a better iPod. That's how they innovate, and they make gazillions of trillions of dollars doing it. So if you're an entrepreneur, why are you going to make a full-fledged ecosystem? Instead, have the vision of the ecosystem and start at an entry point and get somebody into it.
What's the importance of message? Like, one thing, if anyone's followed your blog for any amount of time, you've always had a message. Now it's just Chris Brogan and its business, and it's a larger message with Human Business Works. But when you're going out there in your blog, whether you're a business or an individual, is message something you should consider, something soluble, something fast that people can remember?
Absolutely. I had this experience the other day. I was at a conference, and this guy represented Google over in Europe, and he said something that made it sound like everything he was about to tell us was the most incredible stuff in the world, and it was just one sentence. He just said, the stuff we're going to give you right now is really important information, and it's really usually considered proprietary. And everybody leaned forward, and I was just like wow,
Area 51
the stuff I'm going to give you is really nothing. It's just stuff I came up with on the ride over. Yes, your message matters. I say it in years back, and I keep saying it, give your ideas handles. Make your ideas very packageable so someone can take them. There's things that I see people quote me on all the time that I made up. The 12-to-1 rule, promote people 12 times as much as other people, right?
Yeah.
I get that back all the time from all these other sources, and sometimes they mess up the number and they put 9 or they put 15, but it doesn't matter. by giving people things they can run with, or giving people ideas in a way that they can chew on. It's so much better than giving a wealth of information that you can't put a package around.